There was once a young man named John who lived in a small town surrounded by hills and farms. Every morning before the sun rose, he walked to the bus stop and watched the same scene repeat itself. Cars drove past him, shiny ones. Young people he went to school with waved from tinted windows. Some were business owners, some were already married, some were building houses. And every day, the same thought quietly visited his mind. I am falling behind. John wasn't lazy. He worked hard, very hard, but his life didn't look impressive. He rented a single room. His job barely paid his bills. He had dreams, many dreams, but nothing seemed to grow. At night, he would scroll through his phone. Graduation pictures, engagement photos, new businesses launching, friends traveling abroad. He would lock his screen, stare at the ceiling, and whisper, God, what about me? He didn't hate anyone, but slowly, silently, comparison began stealing his peace. One afternoon, after losing yet another job opportunity, John walked without direction until he reached the outskirts of the town. He ended up near an old farmland he had not visited since childhood. In the middle of that land was a small garden, and sitting beside it was an elderly man known in the town simply as the gardener. The old man looked up and smiled. You look like a man carrying questions heavier than his bag, he said. John tried to smile, but failed. Sir, I feel like my life is not working. The gardener didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stood up slowly and motioned for John to follow him. They walked into the garden. There were different plants everywhere. Some were tall and strong. Some were small but bright with flowers. Some had fruit hanging heavily from their branches. And then, in one corner, there was nothing, just soil. Bare soil. John pointed at it. That part died. The old man chuckled softly. Number. That pot is bamboo. John frowned. There is nothing there. The gardener knelt and gently touched the ground. For 4 years, he said, I watered this exact spot every day. Every single day. People laughed at me. They thought I was foolish, because nothing came out of the ground. John listened closely. But in the 5th year, the bamboo broke through the soil. He raised his hand to show height, and within a few weeks, it grew taller than every other plant in this garden. John's eyes widened. How? The gardener smiled. Because for 4 years, it was not growing upward. It was growing roots. They continued walking. He showed John a mango tree. This tree took many years before giving its first fruit, but once it started, it never stopped. Then he pointed at flowers nearby. These bloom quickly, but die quickly. He looked directly at John. Young man, you are comparing your life to flowers, while God may be growing you as bamboo or as a tree. John felt something move inside him. The gardener continued, You think nothing is happening because you see nothing, but unseen growth is still growth. John sat quietly. The old man's voice softened. Tell me, when you see your friends succeed, what do you truly feel? After a long silence, John answered honestly, I feel like God forgot me. The gardener shook his head gently. God is not late with you. You are just measuring your life with someone else's clock. The sun was beginning to set. Golden light filled the garden. The gardener picked up 2 seeds and placed them in John's palm. These 2 seeds are the same value, he said. but they will not grow at the same speed or in the same season. He closed John's hand around them. Your life is not a race against people. It is a journey designed for you. Then he said something John would never forget. Comparison is the thief that steals gratitude. And without gratitude, you will never recognize your own blessings. That night, John didn't scroll through social media. For the first time in a long while, he prayed differently. Not, God, why am I behind? But, God, grow my roots. Days passed, then weeks. Nothing magical happened immediately. But something inside him changed. He stopped rushing. He started learning. He improved his skills quietly. He helped people. He became patient. He noticed something. When he stopped measuring his life against others, peace returned. Months later, an opportunity came. A small one. Not impressive. Not glamorous. But he took it seriously. That small opportunity opened another. And another. Years later, John stood outside a business he now owned. A stable one. A meaningful one. A life he once begged God for. And he finally understood. If his success had come earlier, he would not have been ready. He would have lost it. God was not delaying him. God was preparing him. So here is the truth. There is a silent thief that robs more dreams than failure ever could. It sneaks into your thoughts. It whispers when you scroll through your phone. It shows up when you hear about someone else's promotion, someone else's relationship, someone else's breakthrough. That thief is comparison. Comparison is dangerous because it doesn't look harmful at first. It looks like motivation. It looks like ambition. It even disguises itself as self-improvement. But if you listen closely, comparison rarely says, you can grow. More often it says, you are behind. It says, you are not enough. It says, look at them. Why aren't you there yet? And the moment you accept that voice as truth, you begin to shrink. But here is the reality. You were never meant to live someone else's timeline. You were never designed to run someone else's race. Your journey is not a copy. It's an original. Think about this. When a seed is planted, no one stands over it shouting, "Grow faster!" The other seed already sprouted. Nature understands something we forget. Growth takes time, and every seed has its own season. Some people bloom early, some bloom late, some bloom in unexpected ways, but all bloom in their own time. The problem with comparison is that it steals your focus. Instead of watering your own soil, you start staring at someone else's garden. Instead of developing your strengths, you obsess over someone else's highlight reel, and what you are comparing is rarely the full picture. You compare your behind the scenes to someone else's finished product. You compare your struggle to someone else's success. You compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. But you don't see their sleepless nights. You don't see their doubts. You don't see the failures that shaped them. You see the result, not the process. And here's something powerful to remember. Comparison creates illusion. It makes you believe that someone else's path is better simply because it is different. But different does not mean better. It simply means different. You have strength that others don't. You have experiences that shaped you uniquely. You have perspectives the world has never seen before. But when you compare, you ignore all of that. Imagine if a bird tried to compete with a fish by swimming, or if a fish tried to compete with a bird by flying. Both would feel like failures. Not because they are incapable, but because they are measuring themselves against the wrong standard. You are not failing. You might just be measuring yourself against the wrong person. The world has conditioned us to keep score. Who earns more? Who travels more? Who gets married first? Who buys the house? Who gets the recognition? But life is not a competition. It is a journey, and journeys are personal. When you constantly compare, you live in a state of dissatisfaction. Even when you achieve something, it doesn't feel like enough because someone else achieved more. You hit a milestone, but instead of celebrating, you minimize it. You say, "It's not that big. It doesn't count. I should be further." That mindset is exhausting. Let me ask you something. If you keep telling yourself you are behind, how will you ever feel progress? If you keep telling yourself you are not enough, how will you ever feel worthy? Confidence is built when you compete with who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. That's the shift. Instead of asking, "Why am I not like them?" ask, "Am I better than I was last year?" Instead of asking, "Why is their life easier?" ask, "What can I learn from my own journey?" Growth becomes powerful when it is personal. You are allowed to admire someone's success. You are allowed to be inspired. But admiration becomes dangerous when it turns into self-rejection. Inspiration says, "If they can do it, maybe I can too." Comparison says, "They can do it because they are better than me." One empowers you, the other paralyzes you. Here's another truth. Everyone moves at a different pace because everyone carries a different weight. Some people start with support. Others start with obstacles. Some have resources, others have resistance. You do not know the full story of anyone's life, and they do not know yours. So why measure your entire worth against a snapshot? Social media shows celebrations, not confusion. Smiles, not insecurity. Victories, not vulnerability. And if you build your self-image based on filtered fragments of someone else's life, you will always feel incomplete. But you are not incomplete. You are in progress. And progress doesn't always look impressive. Sometimes it looks like small steps. Sometimes it looks like quiet resilience. Sometimes it looks like trying again after failing. But progress is still progress. You don't need to be the best in the world. You need to be the best version of yourself. There is something incredibly freeing about that realization. When you stop comparing, you start creating. When you stop measuring, you start moving. When you stop doubting, you start developing. Your energy shifts. Instead of wasting mental space worrying about someone else's achievements, you invest that energy into building your own. And here's the beautiful part. The moment you fully accept yourself, your pace, your personality, your path, you become unstoppable. Because now you are not distracted, you are focused. You begin to understand that success is not a single definition. It's not a single timeline. It's not a single destination. Success might mean peace of mind. It might mean freedom. It might mean growth. It might mean impact. But it doesn't have to look the same for everyone. Stop trying to fit into someone else's definition of achievement. You were not created to copy. You were created to contribute. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the original version of you. Think about the times you felt most alive, most proud, most fulfilled. Were those moments about being better than someone else? Or were they about surpassing your own limits? Most likely it was the second. True fulfillment comes from alignment. When your actions match your values, when your progress matches your potential. Comparison disrupts alignment. It pulls you away from your purpose and pushes you toward imitation. But imitation is a trap, because even if you win someone else's race, you may lose yourself in the process. And what is the point of achievement if you no longer recognize who you are? You have your own gifts, your own timing, your own calling. Trust that. Trust that your journey makes sense, even when it doesn't look impressive to others. Trust that setbacks are not signs of inferiority. They are signs of growth. Every person you admire once felt inadequate. Every person you look up to once questioned themselves. The difference is not that they were better. It's that they kept moving despite comparison. So here is the challenge. Run your race. Not faster than someone else. Not slower. Just faithfully. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Acknowledge your growth, no matter how gradual. Respect your path, no matter how different. Because the only person you are truly competing with is the person you were yesterday. And if you are learning, if you are improving, if you are trying, you are already ahead. One day, you will look back and realize that the moments you spent doubting yourself were unnecessary, that the time you thought you were behind was actually preparation, that the path you questioned was shaping you into someone stronger. Comparison will always exist, but you don't have to participate. You can choose gratitude. You can choose focus. You can choose self-respect. And when you do, something powerful happens. You stop chasing approval, and you start chasing purpose. That is where confidence grows. That is where peace begins. That is where real success lives. So the next time comparison knocks at your door, don't let it in. Remind yourself, I am not late. I am not behind. I am not less. I am on my path. I am growing in my time. I am becoming who I am meant to be. And that is enough.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the story, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories like this.